Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Lee from Gut Wealth. Today I would like to share my 5 C's that I use when it comes to bloody diarrhea. The biggest problem that I come across in gastroenterology clinic is seeing patients who developed bloody diarrhea and put up with it for weeks and weeks. Usually it's because they have really busy life and they don't have time to look after themselves. Some of them might even develop complications and landed in A&E or emergency department requiring surgery. This is particularly common in young adults, especially when their life is so busy that they don't have time to take care of themselves. I understand how you feel because I've been there before. When I was a junior foundation doctor, I developed bloody diarrhea for weeks and weeks. It came and went, and obviously I was way too busy chasing my dream, my career progression, and looking after my patients. I did not have time to take care of myself. Like everyone, I went and consulted Dr. Google. And back in the day, if you type in bloody diarrhea, the number one thing that come up consistently is colon cancer. Of course, I consulted my medical books as well. There were so many weird and wonderful conditions that I read up that I thought I had, and I thought I was just going to die from these conditions. As everyone would do, we love to reassure ourselves. However, this reassurance is not reassuring. It nearly drove me mad. It took me 6 months to have the courage in the end to go to see my GP, to have it all checked out. And thankfully, I didn't have anything worrying that was found, and my diarrhea settled. As a gastroenterology specialist doctor, I hope this video will give you some idea of what to look for when you develop bloody diarrhea, when to see a doctor, and the common causes of bloody diarrhea. Here are the 5 C's. Number 1, consistency. I guess the question we would really like to find out is whether you are having diarrhea or hard, solid stool. Diarrhea is defined as passing looser or more frequent stool than you normally would. This can be different in different individuals, especially when it comes to diarrhea. What bloody diarrhea really means is that you have blood that mixes into the bowl or mixes into the stool. And this is very different from having hard, solid stool with a bit of blood on its surface. When there is hard stool, seeing a bit of blood on the tissue after you wipe yourself, or having a bit of blood on the surface of the stool is usually caused by hemorrhoids. The underlying issue is constipation. And the only way to find out whether you have hemorrhoids or not is to go and see your doctor to have your back passage examined. And we are mainly looking for these large veins in the back passage. The second C is chronic or acute. The question I would be most interested in is whether it is days or weeks. If we are looking at days, the most common cause would be infection. There are different causes of infection including virus and bacteria. Bacteria infections such as Salmonella, Shigella, Campylobacter, they are the classic cause of bloody diarrhea. I'm sure we had the experience of the whole house fighting for the single toilets, especially after a Chinese takeaway or some dodgy kebab. As you can imagine, there's always a risk of sharing a meal like this. And the classic example is uncooked or undercooked chicken with Salmonella. The second common causes of bloody diarrhea, especially in developing country, is parasite infection. A good example is amoebiasis, which is a parasite that is commonly found in soil, which is why it's absolutely important to wash your hands after your gardening. This condition is less common in developed country, but more common in developing countries such as Southeast Asia or Africa. The next cause is diverticulitis. Diverticular disease is these little pockets that you can see on the colonic wall, which is caused by wear and tear of the colon over many years of its usage. And this is mainly caused by constipation. Pushing the stool out is similar to blowing a balloon in the colonic wall, and the wall gets weaker as we age.
When these pockets get infected, they can cause a bit of diarrhea and pain. This is particularly common in older population who might have long-term constipation. The main treatment is antibiotics. However, in severe cases, surgery might be required. The $1,000,000 question that we get asked a lot is, does bacterial infection require any antibiotics? If you are fit and healthy, then the answer is no, unless you're having a very rough time with it. In most situations, if we can avoid antibiotics, we would. The focus should be on rehydration therapy, but water alone is not enough. I think you should consider adding a bit of vodka into it. Of course not, and don't do it. You should be drinking fluids that had salt and sugar in it, like the sports drinks. This is because you're losing so much calories and electrolytes from the diarrhea. Even a few days of diarrhea will break down muscles and fats because it's equivalent to running a full marathon to your body. In terms of parasite infection, antiparasitic treatment is usually required. The third C, color. This is referring to the color of the blood that you see. If it is bright red, that suggests the bleeding point is quite lower down in the colon, and the blood is still fresh as it comes out. With that information, we can then focus our investigations on the bottom part of the colon. However, if you have black stool, that would suggest the bleeding point is quite high up in the stomach, and the classic cause is stomach ulcers and cancers. And the reason why it is black is because the blood is being digested as it goes through the gut, and the process is mainly caused by the bacteria and enzyme in the gut. If you see dark purple blood in the stool, that would suggest the bleeding point is between the stomach and the colon. This can sometimes be difficult for us to find out where the bleed is. The number 4, C, stands for count. It is very important to count how many times you've been to the loo over the past 24 hours, as that will give us an idea of how severe the condition is. When we are looking at 20 times a day, it's obviously a lot more severe than 5 times a day. That will give us an idea of how quickly we should order the test and what tests we should order for. For example, if you're going to the loo 30 times a day with severe abdominal pain, even if this is the first day of your infective diarrhea, we would consider antibiotics at that point. However, if we are opening the bowels 15-20 times a day within the first 24-48 hours, and we are able to keep fluids down, and this is where the last C comes in. Is it curing itself? Don't forget, your body is so good at recovering and healing itself. This is the reason why sometimes we choose to observe the symptoms and see whether things are getting better or not, because sometimes treatments can cause more risk than benefit. Never stop eating to stop yourself going to the toilet. Good nutrition doesn't only give you the minerals and vitamins, it also provides you with lots of calories to fight off the infection. And don't forget, rehydration is key here. However, if the diarrhea is not getting better, and is turning into a chronic diarrhea which lasts more than 7 days or even more than 2 weeks, then we know that there's something not quite right that is going on. And this is where we really should investigate and find out what's going on and hopefully provide the right treatment. Seeing your family doctor would hopefully guide you to the right service. One of the most common causes of bloody diarrhea is colon cancer, and we should pay more attention in the older population in particular. More commonly, they might notice a bit of blood mixed in with their loose stool. Change your bowel habit doesn't necessarily mean watery diarrhea. It could be just a bit of loose stool, for example, change from going once a day to 3 times a day. And this is usually enough to worry us, because we really want to catch this early. Early diagnosis and treatments really save lives. Once the cancer has spread, it can be too late. The second causes of bloody diarrhea that we see more often in our gastroenterology clinic is inflammatory bowel disease. This is a condition where your own immune system starts attacking your gut for no obvious reason. The gut can become very inflamed, painful, and it can bleed quite a bit. As a gastroenterologist, we take this condition very seriously. This condition really requires gut specialist input to get the right diagnosis and treatment to prevent any complication or unnecessary surgery in the future. So the take-home message for chronic bloody diarrhea is to see your doctor.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. If there is any specific gut related topics that you would like me to go through, please comment down below and I will try my best to go through them in our future videos. I've also created a free guide on 10 ways to manage diarrhea at home. If you're interested, please check it out. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.